Today we've got John Van Deusen with us. Really excited for this, John. You are an artist that, man, maybe it was like a couple years ago where a friend of mine introduced your music to me and said like, hey, there's kind of this like, like Tyson Mottensbacher and kind of that group of folks kind of on the Pacific Northwest that are releasing really interesting kind of indie, sometimes folky stuff. And I was like, oh, and like kind of Tooth and Nail associated too. And I'm like, what in the world? I didn't realize Tooth and Nail's kind of dabbling in this like kind of Iron and Wine kind of vibe. And I'm like, what's going on here? And sure enough, it's excellent music. And you're one of like my favorites kind of out of that whole scene of artists. And so I've been looking forward to this for a while. I think we got this scheduled maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago and just been looking forward to it. So welcome to the BlackSheep Podcast, John.
Thank you. Wow. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Heck yeah. I do think it's kind of funny that Mason starts off by calling you Iron and Wine sounding.
Yeah.
This new record does not sound Iron and Wine at all.
Well, that's true. The new record does not, but also like, know, it's not as if you don't have like folky stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
It's very true. And I mean, I think that's part of the power and benefit of being a solo artist who's not aiming for financial success is I can do whatever I want. And I think for me, sometimes I want to make, I guess, like you'd say, folk music, and other times I want to make alt rock music, and it doesn't matter. It's just whatever I want to make.
Yeah.
I will say, regardless of what you make, Cullen is not a big fan of, maybe not necessarily, Cullen's a big fan of the music, probably. He's not going to be a big fan of the name of your band. Not because he's not a fan of John Van Deusen, not as if he's not a fan of John Van Deusen, the person, but Cullen, you want to like give John a little context around your gripe?
Yeah. I have gripes around people or bands or groups that like use their own name for their artistry.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I love aliases, and I think that's always like a more.
Can you get behind this, John? Do you understand the sentiment?
I was the one that messaged you and said, we definitely have to have John on because this record kicks ass. So,
okay, to preface this argument we're about to have, yeah. Well, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, personally, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, if the music's good, sure. Like I'm glad that Bob Dylan made music, and I couldn't care really what he named his musical project. It's just he writes great songs.
So you think you're Bob Dylan? I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So I
mean,
obviously,
you are from Minnesota, I guess. So
I think that I was in a band for like a decade called The Lonely Forest, and I play in a punk band called Buffet, and I play in another band called Telephone Friends. And so for me, having a solo project was one, just practical. Also, I actually liked the fact that as a solo artist, I can shapeshift, but it's all under the umbrella of my name, because you see my name and you think. Like, when I see somebody's name, usually especially some white guy with a guitar, like, I can kind of, like, decide what I think it's going to sound like. And I think that if you listen to the records I've made as a solo artist, you listen to one, then you listen to another, and they can be pretty different. I personally enjoy shape-shifting underneath that umbrella. Also, I have never sold a piece of merch, like a T-shirt, sweatshirt, anything other than vinyl with my name on it. Because that, I think, is messed up. Like,
I like that.
I am not, and I'm not trying to judge friends of mine, like Tyson Mottensbacher, who sells his shirts with his name on it. But, like, I would never do that. I feel really uncomfortable selling T-shirts with just my name on it. And it's like, hey, here, buy this and wear it. That feels pretty backwards to me. So
yeah. No, I totally get that. And I appreciate that part, especially. Because, like, you should let not only your audio art speak for itself, but also the visual art that you're putting out there in the world. And also, you don't want to look like a narcissist while you do it. Not that Tyson Mottensbacher
narcissist.
is. He is totally 100% a narcissist. Yeah, no, definitely
total
not.
narcissist. Yeah,
he is 100% taking on that San Diego role.
When you hang out with John Foreman, that's just bound
absolutely.
to happen.
What a dick that guy is.
Exactly. Okay, speaking of your T-shirts, though,
he's literally the nicest person on the planet. Can we be clear? For all your listeners who take everything too seriously, yeah, he's very, very sweet.
Yeah. He's rather great. Speaking of your T-shirts and your name not being on them, what is on them is pure awesomeness, because
Thank you.
They are some of my favorite artist T-shirts I think I've ever seen. Like just in terms of like the whole collective. I don't know if there's one that any one of them that is like, oh wow, that's my favorite like artist T-shirt ever. But as a whole collection, they are cool as
Thank you.
shit. In fact, my good friend, or Cullen and I's good friend Dan Koch, which I don't know if you know Dan or whatever,
I
but
do.
I was just hanging out with him last month. And he had one of your shirts, and I even commented, I'm like, and again, like I knew you as an artist, but I never knew like the T-shirt side of you, and so I was like, who? And again, like obviously your name wasn't on it, so I was like, what? That is such a sick shirt, Dan. It almost reminds me of like maybe like a hardcore, like a really artsy hardcore punk artist or
Mhm.
whatever. And he's like, no, it's like it's John Van Deusen, and he just makes really good indie folk music. I'm like, I know John, but like I didn't realize that his like you almost literally this might be a little kind of out of left field, but honestly, your T-shirt designs remind me of something I would see off of like a Death Wish Records band or
Yeah.
something. Like it's just kind of this artsy hardcore thing, and I love. I think it's
Thank
great.
you. I think growing up here in the Northwest, especially in Anacortes, there's a lot of DIY experimental music, and a lot of the artists that I've grown up around are pretty obsessed with black metal and just noise music in general. And so the aesthetic tends to be one that leans towards darker merch, stuff that kind of looks like it belongs in the metal or punk world. And so I think I just grew up around that aesthetic and I love it. And my bar for creative work across the board is basically I make merch that I want to wear. I make music that I try to make music that I would want to listen to. And my goal when making a record is I want to make the record that nobody else is making, that I wish somebody else would make, but for whatever reason, nobody's doing it. So I'm going to do it. And so I guess I would wear that shirt. I think I know the one Dan was probably wearing. He has a couple. And was it the one that has like the dead saint on it and the red writing?
Yeah, that's the coolest one.
I think that might be the one. I'd have to double
Anyways,
check.
I'm glad you like the T-shirts. Visual aesthetic is very important to me. And album covers, T-shirts, it doesn't really matter what it is. I care very deeply about how it looks.
I dig it. I think that's actually
love
why
that.
I gave you a chance. When I saw the promo for Anthem Sprinter come through,
Mhm.
I was like, all right. I've seen the album art for his other stuff, all good,
Mhm.
but it wasn't quite enough to get me over the line, to get past that name. So I finally looked at it, and yeah, your album art from Anthem Sprinter is what got me in. So you nailed it.
Thank you. I love to hear that. I mean, as you said, you guys are punk and hardcore metal guys, right? I mean, like most of what you're talking about here is like, I'm assuming very loud, aggressive music. And I think there have been times as a solo artist where I've played with a band and people take one look at me and they think they're getting like Death Cab for Cutie, which is cool. I like Death Cab for Cutie. I actually toured with Death Cab for Cutie. I appreciate them, but then we play
Flex.
and we are like, yeah, right. And we are louder. We are louder than like the hardcore band. That makes me feel very good. Like
That's sick.
I like being I don't know. I just enjoy that feeling of catching people by surprise.
Sure, I dig that.
I love that. Yeah, I love seeing like kind of more indie type of bands that like, actually, honestly, like the National kind of has this vibe where their shows, and especially early on, maybe it's a little less so since they've blown up so much, but their shows early on almost felt like a punk rock show. Just because
Very
like
true.
Matt would get out in the crowd and he would scream sometimes, and like they would create so much feedback on their guitars. It almost felt like a punk rock show, but it was
Almost-
like
almost-
this kind of
Yeah, probably more like new wave kind of sound, right?
yeah, exactly. And so I love when I'm like surprised by a band that I know like on a studio album they kind of have this sound that I love, but then you're sort of taken aback by the way that they are live, where it's like, wow, that's not the vibe that I was expecting, and I actually love it even more.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling. Probably the most punk rock show I ever saw. Do you remember Odd Future, which was Tyler the Creator's like collective prior?
Yeah.
So I saw them right at the beginning, and that show, it had so much more of like a hardcore energy than hardcore shows I had seen, and it just proved to me that like sometimes it's not even always about the music that makes it punk, in my opinion. It's almost punk is a philosophy, punk is an attitude. Yeah. And I think if I thought about it, I could probably remember some other shows where I saw
Homeless Gospel Choir, maybe. I don't know if you've ever.
I don't even know who that
live?
is. That sounds cool.
Oh,
it sounds pretty chaotic.
It's really not. I mean, it's just a dude playing punk music on an acoustic guitar, and it
cool
rips. It gets you going
awesome.
real quick. So it's cool.
Well, anyways, thanks for taking a chance on my music. That was really nice of you. And I'm
and let's be honest. This is a fantastic record.
Thank you.
I really have been listening to it a lot. It is so catchy, and I feel like these songs are. I don't know you very well, but I feel like I know you pretty well now. I'm not gonna lie. Like they feel very, very, very personal, but a lot of them are like a very universal kind of personal, if that makes sense to you. I don't know. Like I could put myself in just about every single one of these songs, and I feel like I'm right there. And I think that's fantastic songwriting. That's exactly what great songwriting should do is be universal, but also very, very, very personal at the same time.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. They are very old songs, a lot of them, and I actually asked Tooth and Nail Records to shelve this record. I don't know if this is true, but I was told that I was probably the only artist in Tooth and Nail history to ask them to shelve a record. And
how long did you shelve it for?
Not long, maybe like a few months. But here's the thing: when I signed with Tooth and Nail, it was a licensing deal where I went into the studio, recorded like 24 songs with this producer Andy D. Park, who you might know from, he's done like Pager the Lion, maybe some other music you might do. We recorded basically 2 albums in 9 days, and we split it in half, and Tooth and Nail licensed both of those records. The first one came out years ago, and the second one, they were so casual with me. They're like, basically, whenever you want, we'll release it. And so I knew it would come out eventually. And I just kind of kept vacillating between, do I want to release this? Do I not want to release this? And they were really patient and really gracious. And finally I landed on, I removed one song in particular that just felt too raw to me still, because as you already pointed out, it's a really personal record. It's essentially a breakup record. There's a lot of songs about relational turmoil and depression and, even like suicidal tendencies. I mean, it's just like a heavy record. And so I removed 2 songs, and it just felt a little bit better. And I asked my spouse of 14, almost 15 years, and just said, look, we're going to hear these songs. We're going to be teleported back to a decade ago when our life was actually really rough. How do you feel about that? And we had to talk that through because music is powerful. And when I hear these songs, I literally feel like I'm teleported in time. And so anyways, I had to weigh the pros and cons of it. Is it worth it if it makes my wife depressed? Like, no, absolutely not. So
it's worth the hundreds of dollars you're going to make.
Yeah. Those checks I get from Tooth and Nail. But in the end, what you said is true and important to me. It's that you release something out into the world. It's personal, but it's not so hyper specific that like you can't relate to it. And then the songs take on their own meaning to you. That's all I could ask for. Like that actually does. That's exactly what I was hoping would happen. So.
Yeah, I love it. I almost like think of it in the vein of like Gordon Lightfoot, Bruce Springsteen, and Tom Petty. Like it's nice. Like that's like that
Thank
style
you.
of writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think I've only ever heard one Gordon Lightfoot song.
What?
He's
You're
like
from
the kid.
Minnesota. You're from Minnesota initially, and you've only heard one Gordon Lightfoot song.
Doesn't he have like a really long song? That's really famous?
he's got a few of them. Yeah, let's see. Wreck-A the Edmund Fitzgerald, of course.
Yeah, it might be it.
Oh, you
But
better
Petty
go
Springsteen.
listen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I will.
Like
I
right
will.
now.
Yeah.
We're ending the interview.
Okay.
Put on Spotify.
Sorry, well, I interrupted you. What were
Apple
you saying?
Music. Apple Music, guys.
Oh, we're going to Apple Music now?
Well, because it's going to pay all these artists you're interviewing like quite a bit better.
Oh.
Oh, great. All right. Well, Apple Music,
Well,
everyone. Cullen doesn't have an iPhone.
Isn't
so,
YouTube Music actually the best one for pay?
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I use. So
there you go. Apple Music and YouTube.
You can get a whole extra.
You heard it here first.
1/18 of a cent from me.
There you go.
Oh man.
Do
you know how much money
you're paying for one of his? You're paying for one bean.
Yes, one bean in the breakfast tacos they're making upstairs that I don't get to eat now because this interview's so long.
So long.
Might as well be a Rogan podcast.
Yeah. No
do you know how much money an artist makes on average from 1 million streams on Spotify?
I think isn't it only like
$9?
No, it's more than that.
Isn't it like only like a grand?
$900.
I think it's $5,000 from 1 million streams.
5,
That's if the pay isn't being diluted to management in all these different places.
Which it almost certainly is.
Yeah,
right?
probably.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Really grateful when people stream my music. Thank you if you're listening to this. If you stream it on Spotify, God bless you. Thank you very much. I'm being sincere. Thank you. All right, guys. What's next?
So one of the other things that felt maybe a little different from this album, not to say that this didn't exist in previous albums, but in this particular album, there is kind of more of a alt rock vibe. It seems like, and I'm just curious, like maybe why that direction for you? Like, what was it more that you just wanted to explore those sounds more? Did you feel like maybe lyrically that alt rock was more resonant with the album vibe? I'm just really curious around like the decision making process of kind of maybe more focusing on an alt rock vibe.
No, that's a really great question. Because the songs were older. So the chorus to Comeback Record I wrote when I was 14, and I'm 37. So to give you some perspective, right? And when I was a teenager, I was listening to, Foo Fighters and Nirvana, a lot of normal alt rock, but also, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, it was like the kind of the mall rock explosion, right? Hot Topic. I was discovering lots of pop punk bands, lots of radio rock because of where I lived. I live an hour and a half north of Seattle, so I was getting all of Seattle's rock music, but also Vancouver, BC's rock music. So I was just like saturated at that age with radio rock. Like basically all radio rock across the board. And I think when I started recording this record and when we began to track guitars and drums especially, I wanted it to kind of sound like the music I was listening to when I was playing music in a garage with my friends and the garage smelled like cigarettes. And I wanted it to kind of sound the way it felt when 2000, 2001, 2002 were hitting for me. And I wish I was a skateboarder, but I wasn't. And like, it was just such a moment in time. And also where my tastes, they hadn't been refined yet. So like, I was just as likely to like put on an Incubus record as I was something that maybe now as I'm older, I might consider a little bit more cool. But what I've learned as I've gotten older is that what's cool is just liking what you like. So anyways, as I was putting the record together, I wanted it to have this feeling and to kind of create a feeling that I would have gotten when I was 17, 18, 19, listening to alt rock music, and maybe even earlier, like 15, 16. And that's really, it's as simple as that. I also bar chords, like there are riffs on this record, but there's no guitar solos. I wanted it to feel like I was 17, like playing, like plugging my Gibson SG through a really terrible distortion pedal or a rap pedal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So that was probably too long of an answer, but that is my headspace as I made the record. So
no, that's a great answer. I'm kind of curious. Like, you sit on a song that long, do you change anything, or do you allow like your modern perspective to kind of come in and like reshape how that song is going to feel and all that stuff?
Yes, because it still has to resonate with me emotionally. So like 14-year-old John's pretty far removed from however old I was in 2018 when we recorded this. But like my thing was that for so long, so with The Lonely Forest, this band I was in, I wrote too many songs, so many songs that my band members couldn't keep up with the demos. They would just be like, John, there's too many. And we signed to an imprint of Atlantic, and then we were going to be on Atlantic Records proper. And basically, I was writing for that future release that never happened. So I had tons of songs sitting around, and some of them were just song starts, so like a chorus or a pre-chorus or a riff. And so I've gotten pretty good at repurposing things that have sat on the shelf for a long time. So Comeback record, you have a chorus I wrote when I was 14. You have verses and pre-choruses I wrote when I was probably 20 years old. Then you have that loud outro that gets kind of crazy and noisy with the crazy drums. That would have been 2019, so not maybe 5 years ago. So I just staple them together like a collage.
I love that. That's such a strange thing. That's a luxury that I think a lot of writers don't really take advantage of, right? I mean, like, you can do that. There's no one stopping you. You just got to hang on to the same notebook for a long time. That's a tough part.
You do. Well, and that's the discipline of demoing. Like, anytime a young artist asks me, or a songwriter or singer is like, what should I be doing? I'm like, just learn to record your own songs, even if it's lo-fi on a tape cassette recorder. Capturing moments and keeping them around has been really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Did you end up recording like all the or most of the I Am Origami stuff prior to recording this then? Because you said that this album was recorded in 2018, and some of the I Am Origami stuff that was like even up until like what 2022 or something. Yeah, did you end up like recording this album in 2018 and then just like when you say literally shelved, like you literally shelved it, ended up going into like other music that you've been doing over the last number of years, and then now have finally like took this off the back burner and now like have put it out? Like, is that literally what you did then?
So I recorded the first two I Am Origami albums. Then I went into the studio and recorded these 24 songs. Half of those became the third Origami record, and the other half became Anthem Sprinter, which sat around. So that means I recorded a hardcore punk record with Buffet, a pop rock record with Telephone Friends, the fourth Origami, a Christmas record, in between the release of Anthem Sprinter.
Yeah, I love that. That's so weird. I mean, it's really interesting. It's a weird choice, no doubt, but it is such an interesting way to go about things, because it probably feels like everything's almost kind of brand new again, even though it's been there for a while. For 1 week, it feels brand new, and then I'm like, oh my god, I never again will I listen to these songs. I think. Do you guys play video games? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You probably more than I do, Cullen. The last video game I played was Madden 2008.
Oh, okay. Well.
So, butt out, Mason.
Yeah, get out of here.
I guess. All right. I'll let you be.
I don't think this is. I've never had this thought in my life, and what better time to share it than on the recording of a podcast? But
yeah,
you know how in a really good open world game, think of like Grand Theft Auto 5, you can traverse the open world, and even though it only takes you like 10 or 15 minutes to drive from one end to the other, it feels like you've traversed an entire continent, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got mountains and a city, and you've got a beach and a desert and all these different things. I view my discography as a solo artist similarly. I want someone to start at the beginning and go through these records if they have the patience and they want to, and to feel like they've traversed a continent. And so to me, it doesn't matter when Anthem Sprinter comes out. It could have come out a decade from now. All it's doing is adding a landscape to my little world that I'm creating. And
sure,
what I want is for after I'm long dead, let's say there's 30 people still listening to my music. I want one of those 30 to share it with someone else, for them to discover one of the records and be like, this is good. I want to know what else there is. For them to take kind of like a deep dive into the discography and be really kind of excited at like the breadth or the like spectrum of sound and idea. So I obsess over that. I think about it a lot.
What landscape in the John Van Deusen world does somebody break into a car and then rip them out of the car? What album is that one?
Probably. Which one do you run over prostitutes? Is what Mason's trying to ask.
Probably the Buffet record, because there's some like.
Okay, all right. Well, you had to. I mean, clearly you've thought about this.
I mean, Buffet is full of like pacifists, and like half the record is about like just eating food. But I will say, there is some like like Minor Threat style hardcore in there, and it feels aggressive. So I would say that's the record.
That makes sense.
I love that. You've actually
Or
thought
the
about that
Christmas
before.
record, because that'd be really weird and surreal.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Fast.
Yeah, like it's like an open world that you can traverse, and you can experience lots of different sights and sounds.
Yeah.
And run people over with a fire
Yes.
truck.
Yeah. Yeah, or fly something to the top of a skyscraper, jump off the plane on top of the skyscraper, and then shoot rockets from the skyscraper down on the city streets.
Not that you're speaking from
Oh,
experience.
absolute
though, right?
experience. Are you kidding? This is,
Literally the first thing you do.
I mean, yeah. No, it's been a while since I've played Grand Theft Auto, but if I did, that would be the first thing I did.
That makes sense. I mean, it's what all of us would do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Mason doesn't get it because
Well,
he only plays Madden 2008. So
Yeah, that you know,
Weird choice.
Like, the landscape of Madden, it's just goes from the Seattle Seahawks stadium to MetLife Stadium to whatever. It's just it's a little less adventurous,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say. But it is fun to stiff arm.
Does
somebody.
does your musical taste mirror your terrible video game taste, or?
it definitely does
well?
not.
I'm just kidding.
Fortunately not. I mean, Madden. I think it was Madden 2007 had an Underoath song on it, so that's got to count for something.
It really
right?
does. There was a while where those EA sports games had really good syncs. Lots of good music on
Yeah.
them. So.
For sure.
Well, especially MVP baseball, it was all this indie stuff. It was actually really great.
No,
I actually still listen to a lot of
games had it going on.
They did.
the FIFA
Oh, yeah.
ones. Did?
FIFA
Okay,
games.
I was never a soccer
Oh
guy.
my gosh, they were such good soundtracks. That's where Phoenix got big, like the band Phoenix. You remember that?
Really, on FIFA?
Yeah, I think that probably happened to
would've-
a good number of bands. That
Definitely.
yeah. Anyways,
I would have never
dude,
guessed that.
I'm
Anyway.
sorry. I feel like I came into this blind, and I'm really just ruining our interview.
No, like this is how all
we're-
of our interviews are, man.
I called you Josh. I don't know why you're thinking that you're ruining it.
Right.
we're
Okay.
just having a blast, man.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good.
Don't think it's you, it's us.
It is you guys. You know, has
It's not
anybody
me,
ever
it's
told
you.
you that your frame, Mason, looks like a school photo? At least mine does, because of that background.
Nobody said that, but I totally get it because you get the little background and everything. Yeah, I love that.
When he changes the color to red, he looks like a demon, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I do. I can change the colors. It's just an RBG light pointing at a white wall.
I've got
Great.
this
So-
this guy here.
Yeah, who is that? I was going to ask that earlier.
That's my great grandfather,
Is that Robert E. Lee?
Wow, what was his
Justice
name? Justice Van Deusen.
Van Rensselaer.
Oh God, you are Dutch as hell.
Okay, here's the deal. I thought I was Dutch as hell, and then I did the DNA, like Ancestry.com thing. It turns out I'm like 4% Dutch, and then mostly
hell?
just like German and English and.
Are you no Czech? You seem Czech to me.
Really?
No, I don't know. I don't know what a Czech person's supposed to be like.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Czech Republic?
No, never.
It's beautiful. You should go.
Well, Czech Republic doesn't exist anymore, so
Czechoslovakia?
no, it's called Czechia now.
No, Czech Republic exists.
I think they call it Czech
It's
Republic
Czechia. It's
Now-
Czechia now.
for the
They
uneducated.
changed
Republic.
the name.
Is that where Prague is? No, Prague is in Switzerland,
We're both
right?
right.
No.
Yes. Prague is in Czech Republic, also known as
Also known as
Czechia.
Czech Republic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like now I'm a geography teacher. So in the geography world, they only say you're allowed to say Czechia anymore.
Really.
Yeah. Which is strange.
Wow. Is it like a more politically correct one or
I
what?
have no idea. I have not looked into it enough to know. But I also probably haven't cared enough. And that's on me.
You should.
I need to do some soul searching on that one.
I don't think you do. I think you're okay. I think that the fact that you knew that, you're ahead of the game. I would say you should visit Prague. Prague is an incredible city.
I played a game where I went to Prague once.
FIFA?
No, it was okay, John. Maybe you know this because you have played games. It sounds like
Mhm.
Indiana Jones, original Xbox game. Have you played that? I don't remember which game it was called, but
I haven't played an Indiana Jones game in a very long time, and I did not play the Xbox one. That sounds fun.
It was a very good game. And you go to Prague and you get to traverse the city. It's quite fun.
That sounds cool.
Wow.
Anyways, we don't need to talk about video games. I don't know why. How did we get on Prague? We are really.
You told me I looked like I was from Czechia.
Oh yeah. That's on me. I need to do some soul searching about that one.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Do we have more good questions about the album?
We don't need to talk about the record.
No, I love the record. It's great. Album cover for this one.
Yes.
Where did you get this idea? Because this is such a cool picture.
It is. It's a lovely illustration. My dad, when I was younger, my dad would read me this book before bed called Danger, like Danger with an exclamation point, and it was about dangerous animal encounters, and it scared me a lot. And you know,
Do you have pictures?
yes, so every other chapter had an illustration, and they were all of that kind of like hyper realistic illustration that you see on the cover of Anthem Sprinter.
It's like old school Nature is Metal Instagram account.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so because so much of this record was kind of about connecting with my younger self and thinking about fear and like what I was afraid of, and thinking about how when I was younger I was fairly chaotic and I was often the antagonist in my own story. So I was often kind of afraid of myself, even the trajectory of my life. I would think about where I was headed and I would get kind of scared. And so when I was pondering album covers, I just wanted something that felt scary to me personally. I saw that book on my dad's shelf, and I picked it up and I was flipping through the illustrations, and that one with the, guy getting mauled by the lion was there. And then the back of the LP actually has a similar picture of a grizzly bear like attacking a hunter. And
Wow. Dang.
and I collaged it. So it's just like a collage cut out on a black background, and then I did the lettering. And it was an accident at first to have the paw covering up the lettering, and it just felt so good
Yeah.
to have that.
Oh, it
Yeah,
nails
and
it.
so it just kind of came together really quickly. And
So you did
that's
it yourself. You did the album artwork yourself.
Well, I didn't do that illustration.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
draw the lion. I just collaged the image out and then did the lettering and
Okay.
everything. Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
I do.
So
most-
is it the exact image, or is it like a rendition?
No, it's the exact image straight from the book collaged.
Oh wow. Okay.
Dang.
Sick. That's incredible.
Yeah, I like it because it's similar to what we were talking about with T-shirts. But if I saw that record cover at a vinyl store, I would want to buy it, or at least I would want to know how it sounded. And I like that it doesn't say my name anywhere on the front.
Right.
Another question I had was, are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, I like Star Wars.
For your music video, were you trying to make a Jawa?
No, but the reference isn't lost on me. Like, it kind of looks like a Wookiee Jawa.
Well, according to the new Mandalorian season, Jawas are furry underneath.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were about to say they're furries.
No, they're not furries, but they are furry underneath their cloaks. So
I didn't know that. There's a video for the song "Whatever Makes You Mine" where I'm wearing the same creature outfit.
yes. Yeah.
And the whole idea is that it's like an evil spirit. It's like demonic. It's like I'm haunted by this thing that is clearly otherworldly and should set you. It should give you a sense of unease. Of course, in that video, you realize that like I am the creature haunting myself. So yeah, not a direct Star Wars reference. I just wanted something that if you actually saw it in the woods at night, you would be like, if you didn't
Terrified.
Yeah, and truly, in the dark and in low light, it is a very scary looking costume. Like I've considered wearing it for Halloween or like walking around because I live right by the forest. I've considered like what would it be like if I just like stood in the woods as hikers. And I thought
You would get shot. That's
yeah,
what would
exactly.
happen.
I would get shot, or I would
I would
very much so scare somebody. So Yeah.
We'd get another one of those blurry Bigfoot videos.
Yes.
That'd be a wild way to go about things. That'd be kind of fun.
It would be, unless I got shot, and then that would be a cool way to go.
How old is your?
That is
how old
true.
is your child?
He turns 5 in January.
Have you scared him shitless yet?
No, he's so sensitive. So I would.
So he's a very good. He's very good, is what you're saying. He's a very good boy.
He's a great boy.
So he doesn't need to be scared to death by anything.
No, and he's already scared of a lot. Like
Gotcha.
the world is a scary place to him.
Sure.
So I wouldn't want.
Have you introduced him with eternal conscious torment?
No, we haven't talked about hell. If you were to ask me about hell, I would give him an honest answer and say, you know what, buddy, I don't. I think that whatever happens after this life is good. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be all right.
You're going to turn into a pecan
wow.
and roast
When I was
forever.
5 years old, I was already going to hell houses on Halloween night.
For real?
Oh yeah, same here.
Hell houses
wow.
as in like evangelical, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
Yep. And and
remember
everyone
those?
gets a tract before and after.
I mean,
you enter and leave.
I remember them because I know of them, but I absolutely grew up in a religious household that was. I want to say I grew up in a fairly healthy religious environment, and so I don't think my parents would never have. They never would have done that to me.
Go
Dang.
parents.
Bunch of universalist libs.
We see we see the rainbow behind you. All right.
You know, this blanket, my wife bought this blanket in Mexico the week we met. I was 16, she was 18.
It is a beautiful blanket.
Yeah, I like it.
Hey, going back to that.
You're younger?
Going back to that. I am kind of curious how it was taken by your wife, because the new album, I should say, because a lot of these songs, you know, as you said, kind of dug up some of those old emotions, old feelings.
Yeah.
How did she take it? Did she see it as like look how far we've come, or was it like, oh man, now we're gonna really fall into this for a moment, or how did it go?
Well, she probably actually hasn't had a lot of time to even think about it because our kids are a lot of work for her. And I don't lean into my record releases as if it's the only thing happening in our world.
That's good.
And that partly because I'm a fairly casual music maker. I'm not, like I already said, I'm not really like swinging for the fences here. So when I release a record, it's like, yep, it's out. What's the next thing we're going to do? So we haven't been living in like Anthem Sprinter world here at the Van Deusen home. I would say that when she hears the songs, she's had enough time and space that she's probably like, yeah, okay, I can hear this. If I was playing them on repeat, she'd probably say eventually like, hey, can we listen to something else? But I will say what you said, that look how far we've come, is very real for us. I'm not just saying this. On a regular basis, we look at each other and we express like a gratitude for where we are. And just the fact that we're still married and that we have kids and that we like each other, and it's actually better now than it's ever been. So in light of that reality, it makes Anthem Sprinter easier to listen to. And this sounds trite. I can hear my kids crying upstairs. This sounds trite, but it's true. Without those harder times, I don't know if we'd be as grateful as we are now, right? And so it's true with our kids. Like, we had multiple miscarriages, and so when I hold my 1-year-old daughter, in light of the miscarriages, I'm so grateful to have her, right? And I think in a similar way, we would agree that it's the same with our story. Like, the first 3 years of our marriage were so rough. I feel like we went through more in those years than a lot of married couples go through in the first 10. And so it's almost like we've run a marathon and we're like high-fiving each other that we're still here. You know what I mean?
I love that. That's good. That's good. Good for you.
So then
Good
you're
for
like,
you
all right,
guys.
by the way, honey, this album's about to come out now that we're at our best place right now.
And maybe, I mean, just the fact that I removed songs shows I don't, and one of the songs in particular, my A&R guy at Tooth was like, dang, that's like my favorite song. I was like, yeah, well, sorry.
It's going to come out on an album that you record next year that'll come out in 2034.
Yeah. You know what? It will not come out. And it was a Lonely 4 song. Like, we played it at Bonnaroo, and We played it at
Oh, wow.
festivals. We just never recorded it.
Well, one of the things that, as you were talking about, like a lot of just life has happened since you first made these songs and then even recorded them 6 years ago. Uh, and one of the things that's kind of been a common theme in a lot of your music is very much just being like really honest about your faith. And I'm just really curious to like hear kind of maybe where you're at in that. Like, what are maybe the things that maybe specifically in this album, or maybe knowing that this album was written so long ago, like how you maybe reflect on the faith aspects of what was written, knowing that it's many years since wherever you were in your faith at that point many years ago to where you're at now. So I'm just curious, like just where you see that journey has taken you, just maybe specifically around your faith.
Well, I grew up in a Christian home, and discarded what I would call like cultural Christianity when I was probably 18. I took like an intro to philosophy course and asked a bunch of hard questions and realized how flimsy my foundation of belief was. So I was like, oh yeah, I don't believe that. And I think it just growing up, late teens, early 20s, I realized I do believe in a higher power. And so when I was writing a lot of these songs, I was sensitive to faith. But what was true of who I was is that I didn't like who I was and who I was becoming. And it wasn't until maybe 2012, The Lonely Forest, we were touring. It was actually one specific tour. We toured, it was a Jägermeister tour with this band called Portugal the Man. And we came home and
Flex.
Yeah, I get, yeah, sure. But it's...
Also, I just found out recently they're from Alaska.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard of another band from Alaska.
I think maybe two of them are, and then they relocated maybe to Portland or something. But anyways, the point is, it was a very specific time and place with me, like Jägermeister and with Portugal, and just like... Anyways, I remember coming home from that tour and being like, oh my God, something has to change in my life. Like, I can't keep... The trajectory I was on was like one of destruction, essentially. So I just had this... And it would have been right when I would have been writing some of these songs. Like... You know the song "My Regret Is a Pit"?
Yeah.
Off the record.
Mm-hmm.
I was writing that about that time in my life. Anyways, I came home from that tour, and it just changed my perspective on what I wanted for myself, and I started praying very differently, because at that point I had kind of decided I was a Christian, but my beliefs weren't producing any type of change in me, and that freaked me out. As somebody who was raised in a Christian home, and I was told, like, you believe in Jesus and then you become this other, you're born again. And I was kind of like, well, I don't feel like anything's happening here. Like, what's the deal? So I started praying differently. Basically started praying very seriously, like, okay, God, if you're real, you can do whatever you want in my life. Like, I'm not kidding. That was my prayer. I was like, what do you want, man? If you're real up there, if you really love me, if all of this stuff that I believe is true, like, I'm kind of now ready for you to just take charge. And very seriously, my life began to change. Like, I began to experience very real fruitfulness or results, for lack of a better term. So that's kind of when my faith journey became real to me. And it changed my entire trajectory of my life, saved my marriage. That's why I stopped touring, and that's why The Lonely Forest kind of imploded. And since that time, it's just been a really good, like, slow and steady deepening of that belief. And when I write music now, some of it's about my faith. And the moments, and it actually happens especially when I'm making really loud music about my faith, which I think is an interesting detail. Really noisy, like guitar through fuzz pedal, put the guitar up against the amp, and it creates like the grossest guitar noise ever. I genuinely feel like there are moments where I'm like, I was made to do this. Like, I love making music that reflects my belief. I think probably because it's not about me anymore in that moment. And so I actually believe that we are created to worship. And so I don't even know what you guys believe, but I'm just saying, like, it's been a long journey for me, but as a creative, like, I have moments of almost bliss where I am just making noise and it feels so sacred. That could also be why listening to Anthem Sprinter can be hard for me, because it reflects a time in my life where my music was therapeutic, but I was still obsessed with this idea of success. Like, I was making music to accomplish some idea of success that I had, like, created for myself when I was younger. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Okay. Thanks.
I love that. That might be the most genuine response to a question similar to that I've heard on this podcast.
I would say it's probably third genuine.
Yeah, you're right.
but-
It is the third most genuine.
Cool. I'm great. Third is great. Thanks.
You said you're not swinging for the fences, so
I'm not.
there you
And
go.
unless the fence is making music and art I like, then I'm swinging for the fences. So.
I love it.
Fortunately, these are Little League fences.
Yeah. I have terrible taste.
John, you ready for your top 5 most influential albums? Actually, I know you're probably not, because you got to think of these.
Yeah,
quick.
one sec. I
Take your time, man.
have a couple of them, and I don't know if I can truly answer them all.
No one ever can. That's okay.
Wait, really?
It can always change.
Yeah, I mean, our
It can always change.
Mason and I's change probably every year, no problem. Sometimes month to month, sometimes week to week.
Oh,
I think I'm sure there's like a core, maybe like 3
Yeah,
or
there's-
whatever,
yeah.
but there's like maybe like 2 that might get switched in and
Yeah.
out
I mean,
depending on the
so I thought you were kind of asking more like historically,
Yeah,
like as I grew up or like as I was formed.
yeah. Like, so you know how like as time goes on, you kind of have like revisionist history about your own life.
Yeah.
About what albums maybe meant the most to you, or like changed how you viewed things, or changed your belief system, or changed how you do things musically.
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
So like they can change. Like Mason said, there's usually like a core 3, and then there's usually 2 that are maybe a little bit more recent that tend to.
that can be like maybe interchanged with like a number of, another 5 or whatever.
I think for me, the metric is like, what have I listened to recently that like I cried to? Because
Ooh,
I get really
that's a great way
sensitive,
to-
kind of like
Yeah.
these reactions to certain music, and so I kind of think like, what have I mean, it sounds weird, but I get really emotional when I hear music and see people perform, and I get really proud of them. I don't know how else to say it. It's like, have you ever watched footage of the original Dream Team?
Yeah, for sure.
Where
Like the basketball
Yes.
one?
I cry watching it because I'm like, oh my God, they're so good. Well, I have moments with music where I feel the same way, where I'm like listening to a record or I'm seeing a band perform or an artist perform, and I'm just so proud of them and I'm just so blown away how good they are. So the first time I saw Chappell Roan perform on Late Night, I think it was her first Late Night performance, I was like crying because I was like, I felt so proud of her. I hope that doesn't sound patronizing because I'm just some dude who she doesn't know, but I was just so proud of her. I don't know how else to say it. So that hit me really hard. I actually felt the same way watching Charlie XCX's performance on SNL recently, where it was just her like, and like no band or anything, and she was just giving it her all. It made me very happy. But
Yeah.
We're about to see that with Knocked
I was gonna
Loose
say,
on, I think it's Jimmy
isn't it-
Kimmel that
isn't it-
they're going to
Isn't
be
it
on.
tonight?
Actually, I think you're right. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah?
tonight.
Yeah, Knocked Loose is going on Jimmy Kimmel. It's going to be the first time that a metal band has played like a metal band with like primary screaming vocals is going to be on Late Night.
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is not answering your question, but relevant to those who like music. But I would say every 6 months, I spend about an hour before I go to bed YouTubing late night performances and just like digging into the ones that I love. And the other day, I randomly discovered Everclear playing Father of Mine for the first time on Late Night.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not like an Everclear fan, but I remember the hits and I remember liking them. And the performance I found is so good. They have a drummer, they have an additional guitar player, And then they have a guy just like hitting cymbals and snare along with the drummer, and it's so loud and it's so good. And I was just thinking, man. And then he plays the most like mediocre blues solo, but he's just feeling it. Oh, I love it so much. Anyways, so
hold up. I have to ask a question there. Why late night performances? Like, what is it about that like setting that like that draws you in so much?
I don't know. I just think it's often where artists debut songs that become huge.
Yeah.
So like, you can find the first time Weezer plays "Say It Ain't So," or you can find first time, whatever. Like, name an artist and name a hit. So I find it fascinating seeing early performances of hit songs.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Growing up, my dad was a writer for this thing called Interlink out of Nashville, where basically they would send boxes of CDs, Christian music, to youth leaders all over the country. And like 35,000 youth leaders would get these boxes. And it was everything from early Tooth and Nail, like you guys had mentioned, to like Stephen Curtis Chapman, and just name Christian music across the board. And so I would get those boxes just because my dad was one of the writers for this company or whatever. And Legend of Chen, the first Switchfoot record, I think was the first time I heard a Christian record. And it changed the way I thought about music. Probably in particular because there's no real Christian songs on that CD, that record. Like, it's in there. Like, if you read between the lines, you can find the like spiritual sensitivity, but like, that's not what he was really singing about. And I want to say he was maybe like 19 or 20, maybe, when he recorded that.
Is that their first one or second one? It is.
So to this day, I can put that on, and I actually think it holds up. Like, I think it has a unique sound. He sounds way more like Kermit the Frog in that era of Switchfoot. Have you noticed that? If you go and listen to early Switchfoot, he has this kind of like tone, and I actually like that about it. So that record changed the way I thought about music and made me want to be in a band.
Man, favorite song on that record might have been Her. I still think that I still like sing that song to myself every once in a while in the shower for some reason. It just pops up in the brain. I probably haven't listened to that record in like 10 years, but that song in particular does it for me.
I've been wanting it on vinyl, and I need to.
I'm surprised it's not.
I mean, it might be. I've looked for it and haven't been able to find it.
I bet it's not then.
Oh, that's it. That signals the end of the yawn. Okay,
next one.
On with it. There's a band called XTC. They're like my favorite band historically. They released a record, I want to say 80, maybe 81 or 82, called English Settlement. I have a tattoo of the album cover right there.
Whoa.
So they were a band. They were a punk band that basically allowed themselves to embrace their very English cultural heritage. They loved world music, loved the Beach Boys and the Beatles, and they began to kind of allow themselves to show that. And I think English Settlement is just like one of the better pastoral punk rock, like art pop records. And so I really love it. That record changed my world.
Check that one out. I've never heard that.
Yeah. A very unique vocalist. You either love XTC or you hate it. The earlier stuff is very angular punk. And so English Settlement is not that. Dogwood's Building a Better Me.
Oh, yeah.
I kid you not, I actually would argue with people. I think it might be one of the best like skate punk records ever made. I think it's so good, and I think it's criminally like unlistened to. Like, I want that record on vinyl so badly, and I've asked Tooth and Nail about it. I just think it's really good. That record made me want to be in a punk band.
Do you know Josh Kemble, lead singer?
No, we have mutual friends and acquaintances, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. We love him. He's one of our all-time favorite people we've ever had on here. And we've met with him a couple times and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
And he I tell you what, when we saw them at Furnace Fest this year, you would never believe that they were criminally under listened to, because that was probably the most interactive fan base
Really?
for that entire festival.
Dang.
I mean,
You also wouldn't have realized that they haven't really been a band for years because they are still so tight.
Sounded
Sony.
so good. It
Oh,
was
that
impressive.
makes me really happy.
Yeah.
I actually fantasize about writing a skate punk record with no vocals. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I've fantasized about this before, and somehow getting it to him and just being like, "I'll pay you. I only have $5,000. Can you please record vocals over the top of this?"
I promise you he would do it.
Like, don't promise me things you can't deliver on.
I can just about promise you that he would do
I
it.
bet Josh would
I
be
mean,
totally down for this.
In all seriousness, I've thought about asking Tooth and Nail if I could start a Tooth and Nail skate punk band where I just
You should start a super group.
Yeah, Slick Shoes drummer, singer from Dogwood, bring it all into my little circle and I'll write something. Anyways, so that record, I really love that record still to this day. I'm thinking of like formative
Yeah.
Pet Sounds, the like Beach Boys Pet Sounds.
Oh.
I think that record hit home for me when I started reading the lyrics and I realized how like pedestrian the lyrics are, where he's just like, you know, sometimes I feel very sad. I think is like possibly one of the greatest lyrics ever written. That's so good. And he's just singing it like over this Beach Boys song. I was like, man, the first time I honed in on how depressed and isolated he must have been to write that record, I think it really hit home with me. So
Yeah. I think Wilson wrote that entire record as if he was like reading a Cormac McCarthy book. Like just very, very, very.
Wow. That's a flex.
Is it a flex?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's one of the top selling artists or authors.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
But yeah, like you're just very sparse writing, you know? Like, like why say more word when less word do trick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Dwight.
That's not Dwight. That's whatever his name is. Can't remember his name now. Anyways, go ahead.
I mean, I can think of a billion other records, but the record I've been listening to the most recently is Brian Eno's Music for Airports.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
And I love Brian Eno.
Yeah, and I just think I've needed calm ambient music. I like Japanese ambient music a lot. I like minimalistic ambient music quite a bit, and so been listening to that. Also, the new Always record, Blue Rev, I think is so good.
Oh, yeah. I love Always.
Great band. So
I always say Always.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Is that acceptable?
That sounds like a German pronouncing the band.
My favorite band is Always.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that record. So many good records. The first CD I ever bought was Color and the Shape, the Foo Fighters record. So I still think that is a hard rock record that I think really holds up. So anyways, those are probably good answers for now.
I dig it, dude. Yeah,
love it. That's a great list.
Fantastic list.
Yeah.
It definitely. It's actually. I'm a little surprised there's not like more folky stuff in there, given like how good you are at that. But you know, I don't imagine like you're obviously skipping over a ton of like other albums, but it is interesting, like out of, you know, just like a mentioning of like 5, 6, or 7 albums, that there isn't like a Sufjan or, you know, something like that.
I bet Fleet Foxes is in there.
I do like Helplessness Blues quite a bit, and I do like Carrie and Lowell quite a bit. Actually, I will say, growing up in Anacortes, probably the record that's influenced me the most aesthetically is The Glow Part 2 by The Microphones. So I grew up in like a mecca of experimental music, and I'm not just saying that. Like everywhere I go in the world, I could meet somebody, they find out I'm from Anacortes, they want to talk about, there's going to be somebody who wants to talk about some of the experimental musicians from where I live. And that record, The Glow Part 2, is absolutely one of the most influential experimental records ever made. Came out in 2001. Like Pitchfork rated it their top album of the year over Radiohead's Kid A. So it is like it is not like some unknown record, and that album is genius. I think it's very, very good. And that's like folk, experimental folk, but it's got noise, it's got fuzz, it's got like minutes of just foghorns. Like it is, that explains a lot of how I think about music growing up in this world. So there is some folk music that I love, but I just always loved loud music. And That English Settlement record, the XTC record, is very folky. It's pastoral. There's 12 strings and lots of acoustic guitars. So
Sick. I'm excited to check that out.
Yeah.
Also, glad
John,
to see an Eno fan in the house.
That's
pretty rare these days.
Yeah. Oh well, unless you're old and you have a gray ponytail, and you wear
true.
socks with sandals like a lot of people around where I am.
John, what do you want to plug?
Are you just like upcoming stuff?
Yeah, like obviously new albums out,
Yeah.
right? Where should people get it? Shows, all those sorts of things.
So I mean, Anthem Sprinter, the vinyl I was told today is lost in transit along with a Supertones vinyl. So Pirates might have taken mine and Supertones LP on a boat somewhere, but I'm excited about that vinyl. I think so. I guess if you want to buy the record, you'll have to wait. But yeah, I mean, Anthem Sprinter. Please listen to it if all pop rock is your thing.
And use Apple and use iTunes, right? Is that what we said?
I mean, Apple Music definitely pays better. They also, the team that playlists rock music over there, I really appreciate. But I've been working on a record for this entire year that has like 28 songs, and so it's getting split into 2 records, and it's a worship record, and it is loud, it is noisy at moments, and I absolutely love it. It has field recordings of the frogs outside my house. Like, I've never done anything like it.
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
like the sound of frogs a lot. So I'm really excited to release this record I'm making. The shirt that Dan Koch was wearing, the title of the record is "As Long as I Am in the Tent of This Body, I Will Make a Joyful Noise," and that's what the shirt says. So I would just say I am plugging that. Like, it will come out in 2 parts, and I'm really, really proud of it. I'm excited to release it. So,
man, using frogs.
yeah.
I mean, you really are inspired by pet sounds, aren't you?
yes, very much so. I love field recordings. I listen to recording of birds more than I do music, and I'm being 100% serious.
I love that. Paul McCartney said the same thing.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I'm not joking you.
Wow, you're just like
And
Paul.
Bob Dylan.
And Bob Dylan, yeah.
Just
And
like
Gordon Lightfoot and Bruce Springsteen and
Tom Petty and Gordon Lightfoot. I'm basically a legend.
You're on that Mount
Oh,
Rushmore.
thank you. That's
learn to write like Cormac McCarthy, and you're there.
Yep. Thank you. I'll try.
John, what else would you like to plug?
I mean, there's a lot of things that I would like to plug. I do have some really crazy, exciting news.
Oh, I want to first one's
Yeah.
here. Let's do it. Let's drop
And
it.
It's not similar at all to like Dave Grohl's news, is it?
No, wait. Do you mean like having a kid with some random mistress, or
Yes.
not quite?
Yes. I mean, that would have been cool if that news came out at the same time as their new worship record, but
Yeah, that would be great PR.
That's the way to release it. That's a great way to
is, it
release
is.
that.
I'm just like King David. No, like there is a lot of cool stuff to talk about, but no, this is I can share this.
Okay.
This is gonna sound absolutely nuts.
All right.
So I don't even really know how to like put it into perspective, but through a very crazy chain of events, I've been working with some investors, and the investors like work with huge sums of money through the investors. Like one in particular is like actually my boss / bandmate, which is nuts, in another band. I have been asked, and I believe I'm going to say yes, to be like essentially a road pastor for Elon Musk. So so Musk has been doing like crazy amounts of traveling, and primarily just like political travel. And he had this child with Grimes, and
Yeah, that's like named like
X.
a
But
bunch
yeah.
of letters.
And anyways, what I've been told is that he like genuinely wants on the road as he travels, like somebody to be there to talk, to pray, to think through like where he's headed, to be a better dad. So anyways, I think I'm going to say yes to that, which will change a lot. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to finish my like my record that I'm working on right now, it might be like a year because of this job.
So you'll be like his personal pastor?
Yeah. Have you heard of that before?
I have heard about it. Like, I mean, if you're a billionaire, why not, right? I mean,
oh yeah. Well, I'm sure
who needs a big flock, right? When you got lots of money helping out.
Well, and it's a giant team. You've got like a massage therapist, a cook, right? You've got security. You've got lots of different people traveling with him. So I would just be his like personal, like clergy.
Yeah, because how else is he supposed to get, to get the word?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe via. Yeah, you're right. It's a great question, especially as he's like praying into colonizing Mars.
Yeah. Can I ask just one desperately important question?
Yeah.
There's a book called End the Fed by Ron Paul. Would you mind giving that to him as he starts Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency?
Are you a libertarian?
I am. Mason's not. Mason's a socialist, but I'm a libertarian.
Yeah. Oh, good to know. Well,
yeah, I'll send the copy to you so that it's not even an expense out of your own check.
Maybe out of fairness to Mason, I could also give him like a communist manifesto and see like which one.
I was just thinking maybe Elon, you could help Elon realize how big camels are and how small Eye of Needles are. And I thought maybe that would just be helpful enough, but you'll be his pastor. I'm sure you can figure out his estimations around the size of camels and
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think if he gets us to Mars, that's like a free ticket to heaven right there. He's like saving humanity.
It's a whole other world. Yeah. That is New Jerusalem, I hear.
I don't know if I should.
Jesus.
I don't know if I should have said this on this podcast.
Well,
it's fine.
It's not like he's not the richest man in the world that can, sue you into oblivion. Right.
But he also went on a podcast and smoked a joint when his
you weren't doing that,
his
John.
handler said he shouldn't. So I think he's probably cool with it. In fact, he's probably like, you know what? That's the kind of pastor I definitely want with me 24/7.
You think so?
I think so.
I'm just a little worried that, especially knowing your music prowess and how great of an indie artist you are, I'm a little scared that you're going to find out what Elon Musk's like actual music taste is, and you're going to be really, really disappointed.
Maybe. He married Grimes.
There's not a chance that guy is like not into just the shittiest.
I mean, if he likes Grimes, it's probably good.
Yeah.
It's probably fine at least,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he liked her music. He might have liked her for creating a reproducing, but
that's probably what he would say, reproducing.
Yeah. This is reproducing.
We're going to spawn a child.
Well, I wonder what Musk's Musk is.
I've always said that his name sounds like the cologne that a Calvinist would wear.
I don't even know what to say to that. That says a lot about you.
Why is that so?
Dang, Cullen, I didn't realize
It
that got
really
you pretty
is.
bad.
Yeah.
That one is good. I like
This might be the hardest he's laughed on this, and I make a lot of dumb jokes, but this might have been the one that takes the cake.
That was good.
Guys, I should probably go, but there was one more thing I had to say.
Okay.
About that.
What did you want to say?
No.
Are you going to sell his Musk?
No. Yes. No, I don't have anything else to say.
Man, if you started selling, you could sell. If you were able to like get his like sweat glands or whatever and sell that, the amount of people on X who pay him $8 a month. Oh my God! God, he has so many men that are into him. It's unbelievable. You would be able to make a fortune.
I'm surprised he hasn't done that.
I know. Like he just like needs to start selling parts of his body because the amount of like men on Twitter that just absolutely worship his feet are, I mean, it would be next level.
Wow. Well,
well,
you'll
on
be
that
hearing
note,
I'll be hearing from my publicist.
Hey, this is a Christian magazine adjacent podcast, so you're okay.
Yeah. This is HM approved. So
HM.
Anyway,
Yeah.
HM.
What does
magazine,
HM stand for?
That's who we are.
Heaven's Music.
Well,
Or technically
depends on
Heaven's
who you
Metal.
talk to.
Yeah. It does depend on who you talk to.
We're trying to bring it back to being heaven's metal,
Yeah.
but I don't know if we're gaining much traction on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
John, you've got kids to take care
I
of,
should go.
and you got things to do. So, thank you so much for chatting more about the album. We're big fans.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully when the next thing comes out, we'll be able to get you on the podcast again, and it'd be fun to chat again. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.